do this. Kayak I really admire all of you guys for doing this. So I'll do a quick intro, just so that everyone knows kayak what Abroadening is. Let me share my screen. I know kayak you guys ada yang udah repeat like audience gitu, udah kayak sering coming back
regular
here.
Yeah,
udah regular. So I guess you already know the story. Cuma jangan bosan buat teman-teman yang baru. I just want to introduce Abroadening a little bit. And also myself, jadi quickly, I'm one of the co-founders of Abroadening. The other person is Vivian, who is also our co-founder. Jadi aku tuh dulu kuliah di UK selama 5 tahun, aku di Coventry dan sempat di Cambridge juga setahun buat master. So yeah, really excited for today actually kayak untuk ngeliat how different it is kayak from my time waktu aku juga nge-apply ke Cambridge gitu. But yeah, now I'm based in Singapore, I'm working here. Jadi ya time zone-nya mirip-mirip Indo lah gitu. So today I'm gonna just bring you a little bit on who we are, what we do, and how you can benefit from us. Karena I do feel like there's a lot of things that we offer through Abroadening, and I really want you guys to succeed. Jadi this is just a little bit of like how you can use us gitu in a way. So firstly, we always like to start with our why. Jadi as an organization, we have a very strong why, and aku nggak akan kayak jelasin dulu kayak what-nya ngapain sebagainya, tapi this is like really what we are here for. So 3 things. Number 1 is like we believe in something greater than ourselves. Jadi if you see Ersin here, if you see Refli, dan ada Maura juga from Abroadening, and then also Tate here, like actually kayak dialing in from Cambridge to do this, kayak we always believe that members of Abroadening and also our community really believe in something that's greater than ourselves. Makanya kita ngelakuin ini, we do this in our spare time, in a Sunday and everything. And what is that something greater in ourselves is education. Mungkin nanti Tate boleh kayak touch a little bit more about like education and why you do education as your master. Tapi we all believe in the power of education to help people to achieve their dreams. A lot of us here, member of Abroadening and also the community, we really feel the impact gitu loh, kayak kalian punya akses ke pendidikan S1, S2, how that really change your life gitu. You can really define what you want to be after lewat edukasi gitu. I know it's just quite idealistic ya, cuma kayak it's really what we believe gitu. Kayak education has really that immense power. And finally, we also believe in exercising our privilege for the less privileged, tapi in a way bukan selalu socio-economically, tapi juga sesimpel privilege kayak aku punya privilege kayak kuliah di UK gitu 5 tahun. Ersin punya privilege kuliah di Jerman gitu udah berapa tahun kan. And a lot of our the people yang contribute to us also have that privilege of experiencing something that others don't. Aku juga nggak punya pengalaman kuliah di Jerman, tapi aku bisa kayak connectin Ersin gitu misalnya sama teman aku yang mau kuliah di Jerman. So things like that. So we really believe in connecting. So in that sense, apa yang kita kerjain juga really we're here to empower you guys to take charge of your own education journey abroad, dan kita kerja sama current students, alumni, and institutions. Here you can also see some kayak institutions and schools that we have worked with. So maybe if you want to invite us to your school or to your uni to talk a little bit more on studying abroad and things like that, very open to do so as well. A glimpse of our community. I talk a lot about community, but really komunitas kita itu ada di Instagram for the most part. There's about like 5,000 of you now almost. Kita juga ada di Discord, namanya /discord-abroadening. Mungkin someone in the team can put that in the chat box kalau ada yang mau join. We are doing something for the new year, jadi join aja dulu. There will be exciting things coming up very soon on Discord. Finally, I also want to talk about a little flagship program that we have. It's an annual mentorship. Jadi tahun ini kita ngadainnya di bulan Agustus, tapi tahun depan it'll be mid-year. Just stay tuned on our Instagram to know more. Tapi tahun lalu kita ada sekitar 126 yang apply dan ada hampir 40 selected mentees dengan 10 mentor. Jadi it's like small group mentoring. Dan teman-teman kita datang dari berbagai daerah di Indonesia, ada yang dari Medan, Surabaya, Jogja, Toraja, Pekanbaru, and many more. So if you guys are here dan kalian bukan dari kayak ibu kota atau bukan dari metropolitan like cities, do know that there's a lot of us here yang kayak enggak dari kota-kota besar dan juga kayak berusaha untuk work hard for our own education. So that's that. Mungkin another thing that I can share, kita bantu beberapa teman-teman yang apply ke ISMA. I know Februari bakal ada ISMA ya, or like March gitu akan ada ISMA application. So do stay tuned as well on our Instagram karena we're gonna do a lot of things to help you guys yang mau apply ISMA. finally, these like some of the things that we really enjoy from webinars is like you guys are actually getting inspired and picking up yourself. Mungkin ada yang udah ke-reject, terus kayak nonton webinar kita dan ngerasa kayak, oh, I actually learned something new gitu. So really that's what we are aiming for from these webinars. Finally, udah mau selesai, we really champion our Kawan Abroad community, and kayak Refli tadi mention, you guys are, we call you guys Kawan Abroad because like you are the ones yang juga punya the same goals gitu. You are really the backbone of Abroadening. What we do, apa yang kita kayak webinar yang kita bikin, konten yang kita bikin, semuanya tuh kayak with you in mind. So feel free also to let us know kayak what would be beneficial for you supaya kita bisa bantu kalian. And everyone that contributes here today, sama kayak Kak Tatum hari ini, she's here to help you, and we all want you to also kayak we all need you to also want to help yourself gitu, to reach your dream, to reach education dream. So with that being said, terakhir, please remember that kayak webinar ini semoga jangan jadi just another event that you attend karena kalian punya aspirasi buat kuliah ke luar negeri, tapi after today's event, really we want you guys to feel inclined to take actions. Jadi apa sih yang sebenarnya bisa aku implementasikan gitu kan hari ini dari yang aku akan dengerin dari Kak Tatum gitu. Ask us, our speaker, the community, kalau misalkan ada question, don't be afraid to ask. And finally, we don't want you to kayak leave your dream as just dreams. We want you to actually get there. So just again, use this kind of session untuk benar-benar get you to where you want to be, and let's do that together gitu. So I'm gonna end there, but yeah, that's just a little bit from me, and looking forward to the session today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kak Fianka.
Thank you so much, Kak Fianka. Oh yeah,
It's amazing.
Notice the participants here also coming from the international participants, so outside of Indonesia. Wow. So our informations already approach the international realm, so it's an interesting thing. Jadi nanti kita mix language ya, teman-teman. We'll use English and also Indonesia. Nah, setelah teman-teman jadi makin semangat ya, from the previous presentation from Kak Fianka about abroadening, and this is the perfect timing buat fokus ke materi nih, Sin.
Oke, tapi sebelum kita mulai materi, kayaknya kita ice breaking dulu kali ya, guys.
Oke.
Yes, jadi aku udah siapin Slido nih. Let me share my screen. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come, let's go to the Slido. You can actually scan this barcode or go straight to slido.com and enter the code. Yuks, aku juga join ah.
Iya, link dan kodenya udah ada di kolom chat ya, teman-teman. So you just directly click the link or insert the code.
Aku juga enter. Sorry, itu ada sedih-sedih gitu. Coba-coba.
That is the trial. Itu coba-coba tadi.
Ini emosi panitianya nih di belakangnya banyak kerja.
Emotions. Representing aku sama
Let's join the
Cynthia.
Slido, guys.
Iya, di sini juga ada Irene. Hai, Maura ding. Hai Maura.
Hai.
Yuk teman-teman. Wah, gimana nih, banyak emoji nih.
Yuk.
Write the emoji that describes you. Kira-kira hari ini emoji apa nih yang bisa merepresentasikan mood teman-teman? Lagi sedih kah?
Ada yang ngantuk.
Yang ngantuk. Oh, ada zzz.
Oh, yang ini emoji ini banyak yang nge-type ya ternyata. Yang sedih,
Itu,
yang kayak
itu maksudnya apa sih? Sedih ya?
Kayak sudahlah kayak gitu tuh emoji ya sudah.
Napas gitu ya
kayak aduh ya ada yang kedinginan.
Ada kedinginan.
Kak Tatum, is that you?
Yeah. No, that's not me. Mine is a different way.
Oh, ada yang nangis juga ternyata. Oh,
yang kedinginan nih
Kamu
orang
tadi.
Another international audience.
Oh, okay. Yuk kita continue ya ke slide
Continue next question
selanjutnya.
ya.
Oh,
Where are you joining us from?
Ya, we're curious karena tadi ada yang request untuk English nih, teman-teman. Jadi, we think that the information's really distributed.
you can introduce your city, asal jangan
Hey.
your actual address.
Yes, your city. Ada dari Semarang.
Cambridge, Bogor. Dari mana lagi nih?
Planet Bekasi. Kenapa planet ya?
Buktinya planet ya. Khusus planet.
Kalau Kak Rifli dari mana, Kak?
Kalau aku dari Sulawesi. Halo, di sini ada ya?
Jauh.
Dari Sulawesi ya.
Jauh ya.
Makassar. Oh, belum ada nih dari
Kan
Makassar.
baru banyak ya.
Dari Riau ya. Sumatera.
Ottawa, ada dari
Terus ada
Ottawa. Wow. Nice.
Banyak yang dari Pekanbaru.
Nggak ada dari Jogja ya. Jogja people, come. Aduh. Aku sedih banget hari ini ada yang pamer molen sama bakwan depan aku. Sedih banget.
Teman-teman mau lihat nggak?
Jangan. Ada dari Jogja.
Bagus.
Siapa tuh?
Ya, Ersin rindu makan bakwan sama molen.
Aku dong.
Oh.
Oh iya kamu Jogja. Maura, sumpah. Aku lupa. Sorry banget. Ada dari Hogwarts.
Oh, dari NTT juga ada.
Hogwarts tuh sebelahnya Cambridge nggak sih, Kak? Oh my God.
Glasgow nggak sih? Yang agak mirip-mirip Hogwarts ya, Kak?
Oxford. Iya kan? Yang ruang makannya itu loh. Iya nggak sih? Syutingnya di situ nggak sih? Nggak tahu. Oke.
Yeah, one of the places.
Oh.
Yeah. I have visited the place. Yang scene for Goblet of Fire yang ada Draco itu. Itu yang dia ada New College. Oh, that was so nice.
Fun. By the way, teman-teman makasih ya yang udah ikut. Yuk, kita lanjut for the last question. What was your highlight of the week? Aku mau sombong terus. If you guys see Abroadenning's Instagram, the one who posted stories about going to a place is me.
Attending this event with
Oh, that's so cute.
Eco Farm itu kayak gimana sih? Mungkin di sini ada yang baru.
Eco Farm itu intinya gimana kita bisa maintain mental health para hewan-hewan itu. Iya betul kan. Jadi sapinya itu nggak boleh di tempat yang apa ya, rengkat-rengkat gitu. Ayamnya juga kayak dibiarin berkawan dengan banyak ayam lain gitu. Jadi kan kalau di konvensional gitu biasanya kayak di tempat yang apa gelap, di ruangan gede banget, terus bawa amonia gitu-gitu kan. Nah, itu enggak, ini beneran di halaman gitu.
Wow.
Visiting Harry Potter shooting location. Aku juga mau.
86 anime. Nonton 6 anime. Itu maksudnya apa 6 anime ya?
Aku nonton anime loh guys. Aku nonton AOT, aku nonton My Hero Academia, aku nonton.
Aku masih nunggu yang movie-nya keluar, udah kita nunggu movie-nya aja lagi apa ending. Aduh.
Aku udah pensiun.
Ya ampun, ini ada yang estetik banget nih, just chilling and listening poetry by Redfall, sorry. Oh my God, so aesthetic.
Kayak nonton dulu yang AOT final ending, baru lo bisa pensiun dari anime.
Oh please, iya Kak, aku kayak oh my God, AOT.
Mana kayaknya aku nonton terakhir Shingeki no Kyojin deh.
Wah,
itu udah tamat nggak sih? Udah ya? Atau belum ya?
Aku nggak terlalu ngikutin dah. Aku nonton Hard Cell. Nah ya.
Aku nggak nonton Netflix, teman-teman.
Ada yang learning Deutsch. Kalau mau belajar sama aku, boleh loh. Oke deh.
Dari Jerman.
Ada. Kita tunggu one participant typing. Oh, I watched Queen Gambit. Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, this person has fed her feminist cells. Udah deh.
Thank you guys for participating. Now, I guess karena kita udah mulai hyped up, I will give the mic to Kak Tatum. Kak Tatum, the stage is yours. Silahkan.
Silakan Kak.
Okay. Hello, everyone. First things first, thank you so much, Arsen. Ripley juga, especially Arsen in particular yang udah helpful banget untuk mengadakan ini lah dari awalnya preparation from start to the end. And obviously, thanks so much to Bayangka for inviting me. This has been planned, I think, since the past 2 months. Akhirnya kita udah ada sesinya, bisa join kita ya, and meet up with everyone. Okay, let's not waste too much time. Bagi kita udah ice breaking itu kan udah nggak sabaran ngeliat materinya apa. I'm going to share my screen. And here. Okay. Can you confirm? Is it clear?
Yes,
Sudah.
crystal clear.
Okay, great. So, still my strategy getting into Cambridge. Basically, I've been set with at least these 3 themes, but first things first, my background. Jadi kalau namaku, kayaknya dari marketingnya itu, and Asian selalu ngesetnya itu Derin Tatum ya. Technically, it's okay. It's not problematic. Namaku bisa kayak either way, but since birth, it's actually Tatum first, baru Derin. Cuma karena kayak ya, family name first gitu kan, kalau for English convention sama kayak Derin Tatum aja. I just took a liking to it since middle school, makanya there's probably an equal number of postings of me yang ada namanya Tatum Derin, ada yang namanya Derin Tatum. Terserah mau pilih yang mana. And thankfully, I've been accepted by LPDP and I have become an awardee of the scholarship, a national scholarship, so that I am able to attend fully funded by my government in MPhil and education. Specifically, my track is research and second language education. Track ini basically kayak nama departemen kita, even though it's not actually called a department in Cambridge. Jadi ada macam-macam tracknya itu. It can be KPP, like knowledge, politics, or it can be about children's literature. For me specifically, gedenya itu Masters of Philosophy and Education, but the track is research and second language education. And as the name implies, it's very research focused. It's not a taught program, but it's a full research program. My background is that I graduated from Universitas Lancang Kuning, and this university is based in Pekanbaru. So hi everyone from Pekanbaru, thank you so much for joining. I'm so happy to see a lot of Pekanbaru people karena datang-datang di sini. Every time I meet people and ask them where they are from, orang-orang Indo di sini, it's always Jakarta, it's always Jogja. Very rarely when I find the one from Pekanbaru. I only know Bayangka to be the one who was in Cambridge from Pekanbaru, but she attended Cambridge last year, so I can't actually meet her face to face this year. Like that's quite sad. Universitas Lancang Kuning juga, my university, I wouldn't call it. I don't intend to belittle it by reputation, but it's not a big university. It's not as old as most universities. It's quite new. And I'm quite proud to say that I'm probably the first person to attend a top world university from my university and be a pioneer and open this path for my juniors. Sebagai orang yang pertama kali kayak keluar gitu terus datang ke Cambridge, belum lagi itu bisa merepresentasi orang-orang dari kota Pekanbaru datang di sini. So just a brief BA honors, English education, first of my faculty, second highest of my entire university cohort, and the rest of the bullet points is basically about my career. I teach IELTS, I teach IGCSE for the Cambridge International Curriculum with Sound Education. I'm also a research assistant ever since in my 3rd semester, managing editor for a scientific journal, English language studies. So if you have any papers that you'd like to submit, plug-in promotion, you can submit it to my journal. And also recently became an editor for a scientific journal in Cambridge as well. So looking forward to that. So for today's theme, it's been sent for about 1.5 hours, but we might run over time depending on the Q&A. But the themes that we're going to cover is basically about my application to selection, or just A to Z, and about the lessons that I've learned through all of this, And the overall theme of dreaming big, not quitting after all of that rejection, after I gave my blood, sweat, and tears. Obviously, as you can see from the lyrics, I'm a huge Swiftie as well. So this is basically just the 3 themes that I'm going to cover as I go through all of the steps that I've gone through within like these 2 or 3 years of applying for scholarship and achieving this point. I want to ask you, you don't have to answer, it's a rhetorical question. Kayak mana cara kalian memotivasi diri in the face, kayaknya ada ya tadi pas di ice breaking someone put out that mereka agak depresi gitu kalau misalnya di reject terus, udah lama pengalamannya, karena kan yang di sini kan bukan cuma yang baru-baru mulai tertarik, tapi udah lama tertarik, cuma mau datang lagi event ini, like thinking how they can fix or revise their applications because they haven't been successful for years, and at some point, biasanya yang dari awal kalau kita baru mulai itu kita takutnya menulis essay itu tuh ngelihat blank paper, blank document, and we can't even start because we don't know just what to write. Or we know what to write, but we're just sick of writing the same thing again and again and again. Even filling bio data, background, your career, your past experiences, itu aja udah mulai capek. You get tired of it because you keep doing it again and again. Well, how do we keep motivating ourselves? It's the answer can vary. It depends on your personal why. I think if you can have a very specific example that you can put into your reality, something that you can see immediately in your world, that might be a good motivation enough. So obviously examples can vary a lot depending on all of your people's personalities and experience. But for me, I would set the college that I choose in Cambridge, put it as my laptop's wallpaper. So every time that I open it, I get to see that, okay, this is the college that I want to attend. I'm gonna sit there at some point, I'm just gonna take a picture in front of this college because this is the one I want to go to. Jadi kayak misalnya tujuannya mau ke Auckland, or you want to go to Melbourne, you want to go to Munich, you want to go to any university. You can choose any specific location that you just really like, set it as your wallpaper, and just imagine yourself every day that you open a laptop that you're gonna be there. Ini masih dreamnya ini. And I'm talking about this looking back when this was just a dream, but now it's a reality for me. Okay, so the timeline, bear with me. Pertama-tama, when I started doing my scholarship applications, I was basically just trying out. I had no plan. I only had the motivation that I wanted to study abroad. I was just trying out. So it was 2020. You can see the timeline as I go through my narration here. 1st September, I signed up for Oxford. Like I didn't even hold back. Kayak pertama kali aku coba ngedaftar, aku langsung ya udah Oxford aja. I didn't even work it up from kayak dari UI, UGM, terus coba Malaysia, lain-lain, nggak langsung yang paling top aja gitu yang ada di Times Higher Education. And then I applied for Chapman because that's the one that I knew about the most and the one that I knew would probably be the most beneficial. And this was also the year when I was still doing my thesis. Jadi belum lagi lulus, emang reckless aja, coba-coba aja, belum lulus tapi udah bilang aku mau S2. Pokoknya berharap aja. And this is also from my motivation to actually finish my thesis as fast as possible, dan nggak lama-lama ngerjainnya. And then fast forward to 2021, after I applied for Oxford, I was very hopeful, but then very quickly, in just 4 days, I received a rejection letter from Chapman. And then I had my final thesis exam, just thinking about this in the back of my mind. I just tried to apply for a different university, Auckland, which was recommended by my supervisor. I still didn't have a scholarship because I was rejected by Chapman, but I just applied. Turns out I succeeded, diterima di Auckland. But again, I was not successful with Oxford. And then I graduated. So at this point, my first dream university is the Oxbridge I tried to apply for it, but I didn't make it. I tried to apply for a Texas scholarship, and I didn't make it. I applied for a New Zealand university, and it turns out I was successful, but I had no desire to actually study in New Zealand. Do I settle for it? Jadi ini questionnya, like, this is basically the theme that's mostly present throughout my applications. I was successful in universities that was never part of my core dream, but the universities that are part of my core dream has rejected me multiple times, and this is just the first instance. But this was a valuable experience for me. Gak ada modal. Kalau walaupun ada modal, modalnya cuma modal nekat. It's just reckless capital. But as I've tried this, I had no real pressure because I was still doing my thesis. I was only trying out. I just wanted to see whether or not I can actually answer all of these questions, write all of these essays, submit everything on time before the deadline. And the benefit says, I know what the application is going to be like, and I already have these ready-made drafts for me to just refine for my actual application that I will try out next year after I graduated. So after that, I became a little more serious. So it's 2021 for June. This time I switched my aim. I still wanted to go to UK, but I tried to apply for UCL. So I applied, and again, same with Oxford, I still paid for on my own. Thankfully, I was already working at the time, so I wasn't held back by financial concerns. So I applied, paid for my own for UCL, still no scholarship. 11 June, I managed to pass the LPDP application at the time, the administration, and I had no letter of application at the time. Remember last time that I had the Auckland, but I didn't use it because I set myself to still be in UK. So I have decided to not attend Auckland that has already accepted me. I still wanted to go to UK. So I didn't put up any letter of application in my application for LPDP, but they still accepted me. 17 June, tested for the substantive selection for the academic test, but it's a series of unsuccessful applications for both LPDP and UCL also rejected me. The things that I've learned during this time, when I was super hopeful after graduation and thinking that, okay, I've tried last year, I want to try again. I was definitely doing better. I learned my lessons last time, but it hasn't proven any results. So what ideas can I take from that? And I've summarized it, and I hope you will take Bianca's advice. Make sure that after you're done with this event, take action as well. And this is the one thing that I want you to do. Every 2 weeks or so, or even every week if you want, just try to add bullet points of ideas for your future application drafts. If you're a deadliner, atau kalau misalnya kalian cuma suka nulisnya itu tuh, atau merasa bisa menulis kalau udah dekat deadline, atau merasa bisa menulis kalau udah buka masa pendaftarannya baru mulai serius gitu. Kalau seperti itu, you would only be limiting your own time. Sedangkan ide-ide itu munculnya bisa kapan aja. It can happen while you are walking, it can happen while you are taking a bath, it happens at random times. Mikir-mikir kayak mana mau menjawab pertanyaan yang udah terngiang-ngiang di kepala kita. The usual questions that might pose on scholarships, the why, the reasons, why you want to attend this university, why you want to study this course, whatever it is, always have a ready set document, just one document, add bullet points for all of those possible answers for your questions. Itu tuh bisa jadi semacam bank data untuk bisa kalian ambil pas mau menulis esainya dengan asli. Supaya nanti ada aplikasi baru, and you open the university website, for example, and you get that blank document and you have to type maybe 500 words and you don't know what to say, you can just open that blank document and pull out the ideas that you like at the time. Because you will change every time. Some ideas, it might be boring for you and you just wanted to change it. That's why, like, any ideas that have popped up in your head, record it. Jangan dihilangin. And another thing that I've learned from this journey, last time I had no plan. This time I had a small amount of plan, but now I wanted to make it more serious. So I researched for more scholarships. I researched for more universities. I was still very UK-centric, but I was much more open to the idea of applying for universities in different countries, mostly English-speaking, because I'm mostly fluent in this language to study for academics. And I just try to apply for everything that interests me. The scholarships, universities, anytime that it's open, I put a deadline. I recorded all of the information on my Excel page because I'm a very organized person, so it might look like this. You don't have to copy this stuff. But if you like to be organized, maybe you can take inspiration from what this looks like. So as you can see, any universities that I know and any relevant courses that I might want to apply, I just put it up here. And then any information that are pertinent, the type, the duration, is it 2 years? Is it only 1 year? The application, the department, the GPA required, the IELTS score required. Like, I just record everything, the deadline, how much should I pay for the application as well. And for these numbering codes, for the color codes, it's just, as you saw previously, like one of the ways that I motivate myself is by putting up the picture of my college as a wallpaper. So I tend to prefer studying when I like the particular environment and the place. So I just Googled these these colleges' names, universities' name. If I don't like how the building looks like, I just put it up in red and I'm not gonna apply for it. If I really like it, I color coded it as yellow. This means that this is the ones I wanted to be serious. I mean, you're going to be stressed with your study. Don't put much stress. Don't put even more stress if you don't actually like what your college looks like. If you prefer to study in an older looking college, the more ancient looking ones, then go for it. And, you know, basic research, make sure that you actually like the environment that you are applying for. That was the research phase. Now I'm super serious. This is the phase where I was trying my best. 2021, 10 October, I applied for Chapman, but I still had no letter of application. 2022 October, I applied again for Cambridge this time. I already tried for Oxford, so this time I want to switch to Cambridge. I was planning to kind of switch it up between these two. Karena kalau kita mau apply antara Oxford Cambridge, we can only choose one instead of applying for both. But also, again, no scholarship yet. And kan sebelumnya ada universitas lain, I also applied, jadi kayak side notes-nya aja, I was successful in my application for Reading University, for Essex University, and even Cambridge University, I received a conditional scholarship. Tapi itu kan masih conditional. And I knew from my last time applying for LPDP, our national government requires us to have an unconditional letter of acceptance. Jadi aku mau coba mengubahnya itu. So I declared, karena salah satu syaratnya itu kita harus ngedeklarasi status funding kita itu seperti apa. Apakah kita partially funded, apakah kita fully funded, atau apakah kita self-funded. Because ya dilemanya itu kita mau apply untuk universitas, malah kita butuh biaya, atau kita mau punya apply for funding, tapi kita malah harus diterima scholarship. Jadi kan mana yang pertama. So I just told Cambridge in the system that I'm going to fund myself supaya kondisi-kondisi itu udah terpenuhi and get the unconditional letter of acceptance. 12 January, the college offered, and as I accepted their offer, I also applied for the college-specific funding as well, yang cocok dengan jurusan aku, yang cocok dengan tujuan karir aku. 15 January, the Cambridge Postgraduate Office replied and said that they will work on changing my unconditional letter to unconditional letter, but it was still a work in progress. Itu masih January. And then 8 February, sebelumnya aku juga ada apply Chapting, but it turns out I still get rejected. During my Cambridge application, I was successful in receiving the conditional, but turns out I couldn't obtain the fundings from university, both from Cambridge itself and from the Gates, the external version. And it just like note, there was also Greenwich. So overall ini step di mana aku udah dapat law untuk beberapa universitas. I got the unconditional offers from 3 universities in UK, which is great. Or should I still try to apply for Cambridge, to get into Cambridge? Karena kayak kalau aku mau settle aja bisa, karena ada university fundingnya yang di offer gitu. I can try for Reading, Essex, and Greenwich. Sedangkan yang Cambridge itu masih conditional aja. But I didn't want to. I don't think that if I get to Reading, Essex, or Greenwich, I probably still feel disappointed throughout my 2-year studies there. Like I would think, aduh sayang kenapa nggak coba aja ke Cambridge gitu. So prinsip aku tuh aku masih mau mengejar impianku just for Oxford. So I tried. I didn't pay for the deadlines for the fee deposits for my Reading, Essex, Greenwich offers. I still waited for the LPDP application to open and to be able to use that Cambridge offer. I still wanted to try it. And at this point, I was so single-minded. Pokoknya cuma mau ke Cambridge aja. And there's some minor drama during the administration selection. Remember that for this year, it was open from 25 February to 20 March. Jadi deadline-nya 27 March. But I was emailing back and forth with the postgraduate office to get the LOA. Karena awalnya kan conditional, harus diubah ke unconditional. Cuma office-nya tuh tutup gara-gara COVID-19. I keep getting the automatic email that's unfortunately our office is closed, blah, 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 blah. I tried to phone call them, but their phone line is also down due to COVID. And it was just so stressful karena cuma menunggunya itu aja. Sedangkan untuk LPDP, I cannot use my unconditional offers from Reading, from Essex, from Greenwich, karena LPDP nggak kerja sama 3 universitas ini untuk jurusan aku. Jadinya nggak bisa. I can only use my acceptance from Cambridge. But again, they only accept the unconditional offer. Udah aku telepon juga LPDP berkali-kali masih nggak bisa juga. So I requested my faculty to send a letter, and they sent me an unofficial acceptance letter, and I used that. I used that letter to submit on the last day. And literally 2 hours after the application is closed, barulah postgrad office-nya kirimin aku yang unconditional law-nya. Jadinya kayak cuma beda 2 jam aja, tapi aku sampai itu malah conditional law-nya. So it was like 1 week of basically me giving up, kayaknya nggak akan bisa diterima ini, karena yang aku kirim itu bukan unconditional law yang diminta oleh LPDP. Yang aku telepon mereka mintanya itu aja, nggak bisa yang conditional. But miracle of miracle, they accepted, mereka terima, nggak apa-apa. Barangkali karena letternya itu tuh ada cap langsung dari fakultasnya. Ada langsung diterima dari mereka, ada nama orangnya, ada posisinya, dia langsung dari fakultas, dia langsung dari presiden departemennya. Berkat dialah, dia ngirim letter ini nih, aku berhasil lewat tahap itu. 6 June, I got my CAS statement, 9 June, interview, and then 1st July, I was announced, I passed for LPDP. 21 July, postgrad office updated my LOA because karena udah berubah kan status finansial aku, jadi aku minta tolong ubah yang sebelumnya itu aku bilang bakal bayar sendiri, sekarang udah dapat scholarship, they updated it. 2 August, Christ College offered akomodasi untuk tinggal di sini. 10 August, faculty offered RSM module timeline. So after everything, this is the end. This is the Z part of my selection. Sekarang udah selesai. I think the lesson that I can impart to every single one of you can be summarized by another Taylor Swift song. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So just make sure that you always read ahead of everything that you need to do. Aduh, teringat lagi stres yang sebelumnya. Whatever that you need to do, diulang-ulang lagi memang we can get sick of it, of reading through all of these requirements again and again. But you really need to, karena syarat-syarat itu bisa berubah tiap tahun. Yang sebelumnya dengan yang tahun ini itu ada perubahan sedikit-sedikit. And anything that you have done previously, if you fail, if you get rejected, you can still use it. Karena meskipun itu tuh rejected, it doesn't mean that it has no more value to you. or it should discourage you, because it still means that you had that draft. It's still a record of your activity during that time, which you still need to record for your activity during the next time that you want to apply. So just keep everything in mind about that. Oh, sorry. I accidentally pressed stop sharing.
It's okay, Kak. Take your time.
Okay. What happened here? Nah ya.
Oh iya, buat teman-teman yang mau bertanya, bisa drop your questions in the Slido link ya. Aku coba kirim lagi di kolom chat.
Bentar, ini Zoom aku kok kayak blank gini aja loh. It's just blank.
You want us to share it for you, Kak? Bisa kok kayaknya. Bentar ya.
Okay, can I ini, like, I can't even see anything in the Zoom. It's just black screen.
Oh, do you want to go out and enter again?
Okay. That might work. Okay. Quit sebentar, nanti aku join lagi ya.
Boleh, boleh,
Iya.
boleh. Wow, oh iya teman-teman santai aja ya di sini. Jadi kalau mau on cam atau mau ngobrol-ngobrol di chat box santai aja. Terus mau nge-PM, ini ada yang mau, maybe ada yang mau connect sama Rifli, anak
Ya,
hukum,
sama Ersin.
banyak fansnya.
Atau mungkin aspiring Germany student deh. Langsung
Aduh,
ke Ersin tanya-tanya.
iya.
Ini udah bisa kayaknya ya. Masih on the way started.
Oke.
Oke.
Udah.
Kawan Kak.
Yay.
Halo.
Kak Tatum udah di sini belum sih? Oh ya. You are muted, Kak.
Okay.
Dah.
Okay, thankfully I'm done.
Aman.
Oh, kameranya belum ya? Camera. Hi, everyone.
Welcome back, Kak.
Okay, thank you. And that's it. After that A to Z, this is our reality. Dan datang ke sini yang sebelumnya cuma dari lihat college ini di laptop, akhirnya udah bisa foto aja di depannya di dunia nyata. Nah, so this is we still have 4 more slides to go. This is the 12th one. Nah, kita masuk ke specificsnya about the scholarship. Jadi dari tadi mungkin ada kayak muncul pertanyaan-pertanyaan tentang kayak mana sebetulnya ngejawab masing-masing, or how I actually prepared for the for the selection itself. So this is going to be my specific strategies to handle everything. First things first, about the general requirements. Thankfully for any scholarship, they always have a ready-made table, form, infographic, whatever, or even an entire hundreds of pages of documents and guidance for you to go through about any specific thing that you need to do for these applications. So for Abroadening, jadi kita cuma perlu ngisi biodata. This is required. They would specify, is it going to be online? Or if you have to submit any specific file, mereka udah tunjukin semuanya itu. So like it can be biodata, it can be about your ID as a citizen, obviously your transcript, your degree, proof of your degree, and proof that you can speak in English or in the language of the country that you require. Recommendations, and also any other letters of pertinence that they will require you. For me, in regards to English tests, apalagi untuk kawan-kawan kita yang mungkin masih agak nervous gitu, dengan kayak belum bisa pass TOEFL atau belum bisa pass IELTS atau semacamnya. There's at least so many resources that we can take on the internet And there's always test preps available in your university or even in outside organizations, even if it's just webinar. Some of them can be free, some of them can be paid, but most of the paid can only be cheap ones. Take it every 6 months or so. You don't have to take it so regularly, but you should be able to familiarize yourself with that pressure of doing the English test and get used to what it's going to be like. Because most English tests, it doesn't actually require you to be extremely fluent in the language, but it's mostly about being familiar with the type of questions that they offer. Jadi ada kayak strategi-strategi untuk menjawab-jawabnya, or just being familiar with the type of questions that they will have. And by doing regular practice, even if you spread it out by 6 months, I don't recommend yearly karena itu terlalu jarang terus nampak malasnya. At least 6 months. Sebagai yang kalau mau agak dijarak-jarakan itu ada banyak masa prepare-nya. That way, when you decide to be serious in applying, karena ini kan bagusnya strategi pas mulai dari awal-awal, mungkin dari semester 3, maybe you're still in your first year university, you can just start trying this, and the year that you are doing your thesis or the year that you're going to graduate and you're going to be much more serious at applying, that's when you pay for the official test that will cost you around 3 million or so. 3 juta rupiahan untuk itu. And second thing that I did is that I always let my supervisors and my bosses at work to know that I intend to apply, and I regularly talk to them about it. Thankfully, they're very supportive. So it's just my way of reminding them that I want their recommendation letters. Karena kalau misalnya kita kelamaan ngurus-ngurus hal yang seperti ini, they might take, I mean, obviously we have to give them time to write it, but they're very busy and they can forget about it. So just regularly talk to your lecturers about your interest to study abroad. You don't have to declare it to all of your friends if you're shy about it, if you want to keep it quiet, but at the very least, you have to let the people that you intend to acquire recommendation letters to know very well in advance. And then, as you can see, for requirements, always tick off everything that you need to acquire as soon as possible. That way you can focus on the heaviest task, which is creating your narrative for both the essay and the interview. Now, for the alphabet essay prompts, kekuatan dan kekurangan, strength and weaknesses. I think in previous years, they require paragraphs about this, but for the year that I applied, they only require bullet points. So it was quite easy. And they didn't set any specific requirement for it. If it has to be like, if you'll have to list 3 or if you have to list only 1, it's so free form. So it's really up to you. I don't really have any specific recommended number. Like if you have to list 3 for each or 2 for each, you're only going to be using this as a guide template, as a sort of profile. Like imagine if you're playing games and you know that you have this character, kekuatannya di sini, or their weakness is going to be this, or you're just listing that in very short bullet points so that people, strangers, will know what characters and strengths, what character you are. And then for the rest, now these are the ones that's going to be essays. Again, they generally don't set a specific word requirement, how long it should be. If it should be 2 paragraphs, it should be 1 paragraph, except for the final statement, which needs to be at minimum 1,500 words or 2,000 words at maximum. For the rest, it's quite free form. And I tested it out first, like how it would look like in the PDF form, because like after we submit, we can at least before we submit, we can preview what our answers would look like. At first, I tried to form it as paragraphs so that my thesis statement would be clear, but it turns out it's automatically condensed into just 1 paragraph. So this means that generally for LPDP, you should try to make sure that all the points are clearly conveyed in just 1 paragraph. What's your proudest moment? Which moment is that makes you less proud of yourself? But again, anytime that there's a negative prompt like this, you always need to try to direct it again to something that's more positive. What's the last thing that you have taught to yourself, any value that you have learned, and what sort of a mistake or error or anything quite fatal that you have done in your study or during your work. Have you ever done anything outside of the scope of what you are supposed to do? So for example, if you're a student, have you done anything that is outside of your responsibilities as a student or as whatever job or position that you were doing at the time? And then mention and explain one thing. So again, if they said any number, one thing, two things, make sure that you follow that and don't try to add more. So just focus on one thing that makes you unique from other participants. So any specific theme about you that makes you different from others. This can be quite risky because it might make you seem arrogant, that you are the only person who have done this, this, and this, and this. But that's not what they're looking for. It's you have to generously apply like a hedging sort of words in here that, for example, you're probably the only person who has done this, or you acknowledge the possibility that other people may have done this as well. But as far as you know, you're quite unique in this aspect of your life. And then for the last one, commitment to come back to Indonesia because this scholarship has strings to it, and your plan to contribute for the country after you study. Okay, so make sure to keep this in mind. This is something that you want to do after you study. So I think previously there was just the general points or guidelines on how you should answer it. And for this essay, this can be quite difficult to answer because it needs a lot of narrative refinement from basically your blank paper to something that would interest people. And I think I can show you the process of how I can craft my narrative in a way that makes my essay stood out from when I first started to how I got to this point. So as you know, I started in 2020 while I was writing my bachelor thesis. At the time, I had no plan. I just knew that I have a broad goal that I wanted to be a researcher. I like writing research. I like reading research papers. I want to publish. I want to discover. I want to develop. But it was very broad. That's what I submitted to Oxford. And after I read it back, again, after a few weeks, after I'm done, after I received that rejection letter, email from them, I figured that probably the fatal flaw is that my goal was too broad and I had a very unclear career projection. So after that, after graduation, I started to implement that famous 5-year plan. Di 5 tahun ke depan kalian mau jadi seperti apa, atau 10 tahun ke depan kalian mau jadi seperti apa. So I tried to break it down by year in 2021. I focused it even more specifically because research might be too broad. So I focused it down to a lecturer of a higher university and the activities that I intend to do. And then I even talked more and specified more about my research interests, cyberbullying, about my past academic experience, what specifically I want to know more, what I want to learn from their university, and the aims of my study and how it aligns with the universities that I was applying for. The problem is I had a mix and match again. I managed to obtain the Auckland acceptance. I managed to obtain the other universities, Reading, Essex and stuff, but the Chevening scholarship still didn't accept me and got in the LPDP. So what I learned from that time, as I read through my essays again, I saw that as I answered a question, I probably listed too much of my experiences that strangers will probably find it very unclear of who I am as a person. Because sometimes you kind of feel that you have to include everything that you have done. Like maybe you've done sports, maybe you've done arts, maybe you've done any academic achievement, and you want to include everything in your essays and you talk about it. but that's not the point. They want to know who you are. And if you list all of these things, your essays will just look like bullet points of random snatches of things that doesn't actually provide a compelling story. So you want to be more consistent. Be more consistent in your storytelling. So that's what I did in 2022 after a gap year of still holding on for hope to Cambridge, and I rejected the others. Like previously, proudest moment, pengalaman membanggakan, less proud, kurang membanggakan, everything else. I made sure that all of my answers will be as consistent as possible for these strangers away from you will know who I am as a person. So like basically my proudest moment, I try to focus on my persona as an academic researcher, a lecturer. So it was about how I managed to achieve accreditation for my scientific journals, something that I was as proud of. It was about how there was a test that I need to go through, but I didn't do extensive preparation for it. I was too arrogant. I thought that I could do it without preparing a lot, but obviously I failed, and I learned after that I need to prepare more. The last lesson that I taught myself is to be much more consistent, which is basically the last lesson that I learned from reading all of these essays. Sebelumnya nggak jelas, yang ini nggak jelas lagi. Jadi apa? So what did I learn from these past experience? Aku harus konsisten. So I just talked about that in this essay. For this essay prompt, the past mistake that I did, again, it's basically the same thing here because I listed so many things. It showed to the administrators that I was doing too many things. So I just took up that theme again, that I was working too excessively. I did too many things and I wasn't very focused. So after that, I tried to prioritize myself. So that's basically the point of my essay. Anything that I have done outside of my scope. So my scope, what's my responsibility at the time? I was a student. I'm just supposed to study, do well at my exams, that's it, graduate. But I decided to do something more. I decided to apply as a research assistant. I went through the rigorous selection through it and blah, 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 but that's basically it. I did things that were not required of me just because I was passionate about it. What's my uniqueness? Now, again, I'm certainly not the only person who has been a research assistant. I'm not the only person who has been a managing editor, but I'm probably the only person who has gone through this type of journey in my university. So that's what I talked about. Like everything else that I've done for previous experiences, I just summarize that, condense it in one paragraph. And then my personal statement, the maximum 2,000 words, is just a combination of every single thing and this that I have already talked about this. So everything, it just talks about this one thing, that everything is much more consistent. And I guess that worked. They accepted me. After that, you have to go through the interview. Before, it's supposed to be that you have to go through the academic tests because there's supposed to be that step. But during this year, like I mentioned, read ahead with the requirements, keep up to date. Because for this year of application, if you have received an unconditional letter of acceptance for the top universities of the world, which was Cambridge that I applied for and I set for in my selection, I could skip that step. So I didn't have to go through that academic test anymore. So I didn't have to study for TPA, study for, go back through my math notes and my civics notes. I just need to focus for my interview. But for that step, yeah, generally you just need to make sure that you study and be as prepared as possible for the test because usually only takes less than a week. And you do it online and on your own and it's all time. So it's a lot of pressure to study for that, but it's basically like exams. If you're used to it, you keep doing these sort of questions regularly, you'll be able to go through it. For interviews specifically, now you're done with your academic tests, or if you are like me, you skipped it, you just need to review your essays again, review the sort of personas, because for the interviewers, they're only going to know you through the essays that you have written. So they're going to ask you questions based on your essays. For the interview itself, list all possible questions that you can find. You can read it You can Google it on blog articles, or you can watch YouTube videos of speakers, of alumni like me, for example. Someone out there in the future is going to look back on this video from Abroadening, and they're going to list the questions that might possibly come up, or even previous Abroadening speakers or any other speakers that they have posted up on YouTube. Watching it can be anxiety inducing, but you need to go through it. And then as you list all those questions, write down your answers, jot down your answers. Remember, my first step that you need to do is that you need to write down all the bullet points of ideas. Don't try to make your answers perfect. Try to make sure that you answer the questions. That's your priority. What question it is, what's your answer? Don't stress yourself out to make sure that it's perfect. That's the final step. What you need to do is, if someone asks you a question and you pause and you can't answer it, it signals a sort of hesitance that might make them suspicious of you, that maybe you didn't actually write the essay that you submitted. They might suss out that you actually asked someone else, or you ordered someone to write that essay for you. This isn't actually what you did. So make sure that whatever question that pops up, it's something that you can answer, because they generally always ask questions that you have done, that you have put in your essay. So you've got your questions, you've got your answers. Now it's just practicing. In YouTube, I found some alumni who have put up simulation videos where they would pretend as interviewer on Zoom, and they would put up a timer where it's just blank, and you can fill up that silent space with your answer, and then they would ask a different question again and again, up to 45 minutes, as if you are actually in an interview. So it's a simulation sort of thing. It's definitely anxiety inducing, but I do recommend it because it can be a very valuable practice if you have no friends to practice with. If you do have friends that will help you to practice with your interview, make sure that these friends are people who will be serious in asking these questions for you, who will not just laugh at whatever answer that you give them, or if you are too hesitant, they wouldn't mock you, or they would be much more helpful in guiding or offering ideas on how you can answer it. So I generally recommend people who have gone through this sort of experience, or as in my case, I'm the first person from my university that has gone to Cambridge or Oxford, or generally just gone for a broad university that is not Malaysia, that is not Thailand, that is not Taiwan. So I didn't have that sort of friend in my community, but I reached out to people online who have done it, from people in, mostly Jakarta and Jogja, because they're the ones who have the biggest source of population for this type of person. The type will be serious and helping me interview. So I just Zoom call them, ask them to help me practice. And I always ask them very specific questions. So I don't ask them about how do I deal with interviews, because even I myself am aware that that's such a broad question, they probably won't be able to answer it. But any specific question from my list of all possible questions, ones that I am very much stuck with, that I don't know how to handle it, I would email them either on Instagram or LinkedIn or any other social media that they have available, post that question, and then offer them the answers that I have come up with, but ask for their opinion, like, is it good enough or not? If you want to ask them to be your training partner, for example, instead of just helping you answer just one specific question, you can offer your CV and your essays, but only offer them. Don't just send the files immediately and turn it into an obligation that they have to read your file, because that can generally annoy people to feel that, because they don't know you, and then you just send them the file and ask them to help them. They can offer you, ask for help, but don't obligate them to do it. Just be mindful and be polite. After you're done with these 2 steps and you feel that you're ready, take a bit of a break. And after you're done with that, try to poke holes again on your script up for your interview, the questions, the answers, and place yourself in the shoes of your interviewer and just be as skeptical as possible. Imagine yourself as the interviewer and imagine or project yourself in front of you. And if you hear yourself saying these things, anything that sounds weird, anything that sounds unclear, would you as the interviewer feel that, okay, are you sure this is actually what you want to do? Or are you sure this is actually what you did? Or are you sure this is actually consistent? Just be as skeptical as possible. That way you can identify any weaknesses in your list of answers. So that way you can refine your script even more and be more properly ready for your actual interview. And all of that is definitely very stressful. But for your personal why, it doesn't have to be as professional or as academic as possible. And for me personally, the why that I want to study abroad, I can talk to them about why I want to study in Cambridge, why I want to study in this university, why I want to pursue this degree and stuff like that in the most professional and with the most academic reasons possible. But we can have our own personal funny reasons. So for me, I learned English by reading, immersing myself in these stories. And I just wanted to visit the places where Lewis Carroll wrote Alice, or Beatrix Potter wrote Peter Rabbit, or A. Milne wrote Winnie the Pooh, because they attended the various colleges in Oxford, various colleges in Cambridge. And then for Harry Potter, because I like this, I like the books, I love the movies, and J.K. Rowling was obviously inspired by it from King's Cross, and there's that touristic place. I just wanted to go there. And this is like my core personal motivation for why I want to still subject myself to this journey of writing and refining and stressing myself out, practicing interviews again and again and again, even in the face of previous rejections, because I have these personal reasons where I feel that I would be really, really satisfied once I managed to achieve it. And I did. And just for a takeaway message, this is something that I've read when I was very young from a random Tumblr post, really. The author was Renegade Warrior, that was their pen name. But they mentioned this quote in their story that really struck me. You may get a second chance, or a third, or a fourth, or even an infinite number of them, but you only get one life. So why not make the most of it? And we can summarize that to basically any themes that are present in any stories that are inspiring. Try to live without regrets. If you have a very solid core of why, and once you've listened to all of those various other reasons for why you want to do this, it's something that you want to do, that you still have the capability to do it, you still have the time, you can do it. You can just do it. Make sure that you don't regret the time that you still have instead of giving up. I think that's it for everything. Thank you so much. And now my floor is open for questions.
Wih. Yay, thank you Kak Tatum.
Super
Boleh
insightful.
loh kalau mau kasih ini reaction. We've got a lot of questions actually di Slido. Maybe I'll
Banyak ya.
share my screen. Gimana nih, Rif, menurutmu? Sambil aku share.
Ya, super insightful dan memang apa ya, berdasarkan dari timeline Kak Tatum juga itu perjalanan panjang banget ya Kak. Jadi memang dari tahun 2000.
Nggak sepanjang orang lain.
Oh iya ya, berarti beda-beda ya timeline tiap orang.
Beda-beda. Some people can be successful on their first try. Others can be like me on their second try, and others it can be after their seventh try.
Second, setuju Kak. Menumbuhkan optimisme aja sih buat kita ya, kalau misalnya jangan cepat menyerah untuk apply.
Karena semuanya itu pasti ada masa-masa kita kayak udah mulai give up-nya gitu. But you think back again on the way that you motivate yourself and the core
Yeah.
why you want to do this.
Yes, I
Oh,
think that's very important. Because the problem is, Kak, like most of us, itu kalau misalnya long-term goal, it's easier to do it rather than a long-term goal. As a short-term, it's easier than long-term. Karena
yeah.
long-term tuh kayak nggak kelihatan akhirnya gitu kan.
Kayak masih mau melakukan ini itu, belum lagi pressure in life yang disuruh nikah atau yang udah nikah harus ngurus anak gitu kan.
Oh my God, that's true. Oke deh, Kak. Kalau gitu kita lanjut ya. Ini ke Q&A.
Okay.
First question, could you please share your experience during the interview with Cambridge?
Okay. So for Cambridge, I didn't go through any interview. It was just my personal statement for Cambridge. And for the basic things that I put in there, it's just the same thing in my LPDP application as well.
Oke. Berarti dijawab ya guys, nggak ada interview.
Interview LPDP ya berarti ya Kak, nggak spesifik dari Cambridge-nya gitu.
Iya, karena kalau untuk yang Cambridge, untuk yang jalur S2 itu nggak perlu lewat interview. It could be that it's very specific just for my degree, but generally you should make sure to check the selection application for whatever department that you are aiming for. Karena bisa beda-beda.
Ya, berarti very adaptive based on the university and also the program ya teman-teman. Oke, move to the second question. Kak, ini ada yang 2 likes to the question. How do you critique articles? Could you please give us some tips? Because there's university that required written work, critique article, and book review.
Okay. Kalau ini mendingan aku share screen lah ini ya. Because this is going to be very, very long. Dan memang aku aimingnya, I know that someone will ask this type of question, but I can't put this in my PowerPoint slide because it's way too long. Okay, so give me some time to locate the files for me to demonstrate. Ini written work, that's also one of the requirements that I had to do for my Cambridge application. Jadi bukan cuma diminta personal statement and research proposal, because it's a research-focused program. They need to know how critical I am. So they would give me, refer me to an article and ask me to critically review it in 500 words. Okay. No, for the review itself, I can't show you. Karena ini kan kita nggak boleh encourage participants to plagiarize an alumni's work, and it's also a very secret thing. But I can show you the comments or my general observations on how I critique the paper itself. Okay. Okay, this was the paper that they gave me. Jadi kalau misalnya kita ada diminta untuk nge-review artikel, misalnya something like this, generally the first things that you want to identify is the keywords of any paper that you are given. What's the topic about? And I think it's also beneficial if you can take note of the year when it was published. So usually they would give you papers that are quite new within the past 5 years. But if it's like 2014 article, you might need to ask the question of why they still use an outdated paper for you to review, because it's so old, but obviously there's a reason why they still include it. There's a reason why this paper is famous. So you can just cross-reference the title on Google, maybe see, oh, it has a lot of citations, for example, and maybe it has a lot of impact, and look at the discussions surrounding that paper. And for the paper itself, first things first, obviously, the way that you would read papers can vary. For me personally, I like to highlight any important points, to highlight the context of what this paper is aiming for. Jadi kalau misalnya seperti ini, teaching modern foreign languages, multilingual classrooms, And it's about key stage 2 teachers' experiences. Again, at the time, I had no idea what this was about. So I had to research more about it and familiarize myself with the educational system in the UK. Also, okay, they divide themselves not by, oh, kita kan grade 1, grade 2, anak kelas 9, 10 gitu. But they have their own educational systems as well. And for a specific age group, they call them the key stage 2, which is pupils age 7 and 11. And for the rest, just keep doing it, just keep doing it. And then any points that you feel might be important to highlight or just sounds very interesting. Like for this one, this is obviously a very interesting topics. They provide the statistic, they provide their justification. But then this is the way that they present the significance of their paper. Little research has been conducted on the attainment of AL pupils. So they're trying to address this kind of research gap. This is a problem that is real. This is what that we need to do something about it. But very few people have implemented or investigated about this sort of thing. So that's what they want to address. What's their question? How has the introduction to German style, blah, 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 blah. So it's obviously a very compelling narrative. So you can summarize this to one paragraph to deliver your overview of what this paper is going to be like. Karena kan papernya kan kita harus menulis 500 words of critic, but you can't just immediately critic, oh, the paper is good or the paper is bad and I'll list your reasons. You have to present an overview of what the paper is about first. Jadi ini, all of this, the reasons, the gap, and the question that they ask, summarize it, 2 sentences, you're done. Enough, that's perfect already. And then for the rest, this starting from the next subheading, it's just literature review. And generally, I tend to skip this part first. You can just skip it and immediately jump to the conclusion to know how they have answered that research question. Because one thing that you want to know as a reviewer, as a critic reviewer, any piece of paper and any question that they pose, have they actually answered it? Imagine that you are clicking any news article link or any blog article link. Mungkin judulnya itu berupa pertanyaan and they pose this question, did they actually answer it? It's especially prevalent where they don't actually answer the question in news articles. They would post, mengapa Sambo melakukan ini. But it's all a very long list of facts, but you still don't know why. So obviously you have experience just from Googling, just from living your life on the internet where you were skeptical of why, of how inconsistent a person can be through their writing. You just need to apply that sort of mindset to an academic paper. Jadi kayak gini, aku langsung loncat aja to the conclusion or recommendations. And what they said, you can mostly focus it on whatever linking verbs that they use, like although the perception, blah, 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 can engage, turns out that they found advantages, turns out that they found still some challenges and stuff like that. Furthermore, could offer, and then generally at the end of conclusion or at the end of discussions, they would offer the limitations of their paper. Because any research will always have limitations, and then they would offer recommendation steps for which researchers what they can do. And we can just take it a step further, take their limitations in a slightly more negative light as an easy step. And you can talk about it that this paper was posing this question, but it turns out that they still haven't addressed this aspect. And it turns out that they still haven't actually answered this small part of the question yet. And then we may offer our own solutions, our own original solutions for it. That way our paper would have a lot more of our original voice instead of us just rehashing the limitations and recommendations that they have already written in their paper. And after that, you're done with the basic overview and basic evaluation of the paper in its most core form, the question they pose and the answer they offered. That's when you want to dive in even more detail in the literature review, how they justified their scope area, the methodology, the methods, the interviews, and the results, whether or not everything is consistent. Ingat lagi tadi yang soal question dari yang listus LPDP essay prompts-nya itu kan ada macam-macam pertanyaannya, but you want to provide a compelling narrative, and the narrative can only be compelling if it has a plot that you can follow. You would never like watching an anime or a movie where you would wonder, tadi kayak gini, terus kok temannya kayak gini, plotnya kemana ini, karakternya di sini, terus kok muncul karakter yang lain-lain ini seperti ini. Like, you would get sick of reading about so many different characters that were actually not important because you're already invested by the first characters that were introduced. So again, the first things that they have introduced was the question, have they actually addressed this area through the literature review and their method and their results. And ini kan juga ada lumayan banyak, and sometimes I would try to note down anything that stands out to me. So like, for example, as I read through everything in highlights, mungkin ada kayak tema-tema yang mengulang lagi yang dari atas, and then I would just put a comment, like tiny comment on it, minor note. Ini ngulang dia. Di bagian ini nih dia ngulang lagi dari first paragraphnya, but in a very short paragraph. Is it something bad? Is it something not? I don't know, but I just put it up in a comment. I might want to include it in my essay, I might not. As long as you have that bullet point. And remember that those data bank of bullet points are very important. Don't just leave it blank. Don't just leave everything in your brain because you will forget about it. So you need to record everything. Let's see again. Well-used arguments for the introduction of languages, blah, 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 blah. And then I read through and then I notice, okay, they might want to cite more recent studies because I took note from the first time that this paper is a 2018 paper, but then I looked at the citations that they have included, and it's like 2009, 2006, there's 2017 there, but then for the rest, it's mostly the ones that are decades older. So I included in my critical task, for my written task, is my recommendation for them to cite more recent studies. Chronicle progression of the ideas, in my eyes, they kind of don't align because there's a 2005 study that basically refuted a point that was raised in 2000 and 2003 studies, but they never actually addressed or connected that link. But I found it, so I included it in my essay. Let's see, anything else? Okay, past primary MPhil. This is just me complimenting them that knowledge from previous studies are well established. So again, it's a critic, but it's not you posting a hate comment on their paper. You want to appreciate it in an academic way. So anything that they did that's actually very good, very interesting, very compelling, you can also talk about that, compliment the paper, what aspects that they have succeeded, but don't talk too much about it because you want to focus on delivering your own original ideas instead of just rehashing what they have done and just complimenting that. It's like kalau misalnya kita nonton film, like when we watch movies, horror movies, fantasy movies, whatever, or like an MCU movie, or like the Spider-Man movie, or the entire fourth phase of the MCU universe. Kan kita kan ngomong tentang movie-movie ini, kita nggak akan mengulang lagi apa yang di plotnya semuanya dari A sampai Z, kan nggak. Kita juga nggak akan ngomong tentang scene spesifiknya, but we would talk about how these scenes impacted us, that we feel sad when we saw it, or we feel very angry when it turns out that the traitor is actually this person, for example. Jadi itu kan semuanya original ideas, our own reactions to that sort of thing. So whatever original reactions that you have as you read this through, does it actually make sense or not? You can talk about it, include it in your essay. Get a little attention, has been debated. Now again, however, disadvantage has been debated, and I observed debate is established. Some AL can be equal or lower or better. And then I noticed another thing, and this point I included, although the rest doesn't actually address the topic idea, that more research on how people themselves responded is needed. Karena aku ketemu kayak mereka ada include about like these three aspects about how teachers react and how they can and how they have been implementing this aspect with the program. But they kind of just assume that the reactions of teachers or their observations of the student is true. Sebetulnya kalau menurut murid, are they actually interested or not? Atau ini cuma kayak dari mata gurunya aja? Karena kan bisa aja kayak guru ngelihat kita main-main, padahal sebetulnya kita nggak tertarik atau kita bosan aja, or just performing in front of our teachers. So my critic was that they should probably include or extended the investigation further by involving the pupil, since it still talks about what the teachers think or see. Okay, and this again pilot study untuk yang udah ngelewat masa skripsi. Generally, kalau misalnya kita melakukan interview atau survey or any other design studies, kita harus nge-pilotnya juga. Kalau misalnya kita langsung main langsung participant-nya, there might be an error that was left behind. Mungkin questions-nya masih belum validated, atau mungkin ada question item di dalam itu yang mungkin menyinggung, atau mungkin enggak benar-benar address the scope of the question that you want to answer. So that's the point of a pilot study. So since they have done a pilot study and they included a very well description of it, so I included that in my compliment for the paper as well. I also criticize how they organize the paper. So you can also criticize the layout of the paper, like whether they presented their data in a good way. Mungkin kalau secara sekilas ngelihat kayak gini, oh ini nih keren banget, ini ya partisipannya ada nama-namanya di pseudonym, terus keterangannya seperti apa gitu. But in my eyes as an editor, kalau kayak gini pembacanya, ini berarti kita harus ngelihatnya secara detail for every single person that was involved. Mungkin bakal lebih baik if they added more columns and can be organized based on the inclusion criteria. Karena kan kalau kayak gini, teaching assistant, year 6, year 5, year 5, year 4, mendingan bisa mereka bagi-bagi lagi and be more clear on why they accepted these 6 participants. Subsequent questions, okay, nature of data was well explained. Justification for their model analysis, I found it quite strong, so I just talked about it a little. Ini juga, again, you read through the results. Did the results actually address the question? Maybe some of it isn't actually relevant. Sometimes they would include data in the paper that seem to support the presented conclusion about teaching, about the TA allocation. And plus the use of the phrases like the teachers and us, or perhaps there's a follow-up with data referring to TA or non-permanent teachers. Actually, it's Maria's position as a TA. It wasn't very explicit. My solution is that they should probably make it more explicit by reformatting the table 1. So it's just linking back what I have already observed from the layout to how it can better refine the way that they presented the data and explain and the paragraph explanation and the results. Anything else? Okay, critical evaluation, call back to government rule of including MPhil. So this is basically them complementing it, linking back what they have found with their first paragraph. So I include that as a plus point. And then I read through again, and then there's some acronyms that they haven't explained. Like the CPD, it just popped up out of nowhere, and it's not present everywhere else. So I don't know what exactly this is. I had to Google it. I had to add other key phrases to make sure that I know what it actually means. So it's probably continuing professional development. It's never explained. They just assume readers would know already. It's just a minor critic, but you can include it in your essay if you have the word count for it. Anything else in discussion? Again, so I've read through the results and I look back at the introduction when they was presenting this problem through the statistics from the government, and then they posed this question. I thought that I was expecting them to offer me some kind of solution to this problem that they have presented in introduction. But then once I'm done looking at all of the results, it seems that the data mostly just provide evidence of the problems instead of offering any particular solution. So I nailed down even more on that in my critic essay, and I think I offered 2 or 3 of my own suggestions on how they can refine their methodology to make sure that they can actually design a particular solution for the problem. But again, you don't have to make sure that your possible answer your solutions will definitely answer the questions that they have, that you supposedly assume that they have failed to answer, because you always want to hedge again, because this paper is already published. It's not an unpublished paper. They wouldn't give you a paper that is so problematic that would be easy to problematize it. No, they generally give you a good paper, but they want to see how you can extend it and find a sweet. There's always room for more. So for your critic, you try to offer that room for more exploration on how you can extend the question or actually answer the question if you feel that the paper hasn't actually answered the question. So for me, I didn't think that the paper actually answered the question that they said. So I suggested that maybe they should try to incentivize schools because they haven't directly offered a way to deal with the huge contrast between the teachers and the children's perception, especially since they only included teachers' perceptions, but they ignored how the student felt. And that's it. Everything that I mentioned, that's everything that I included in my article critic for my Cambridge application.
Wow, Kak, that was very insightful.
Yeah, like I said, I can't include that in my PowerPoint because it's too long.
Ya, gimana nih teman-teman, boleh ya taruh di chat kalau kalian ngerasa ini bom banget. Oke, maybe
Aduh, lu ada nanya ini di chat. If the uni doesn't provide articles to be critic, are there any suggestions for finding the right articles to criticize? I can take it from articles provided by Cambridge. Okay, yeah, that's a good question. The articles that you want to critic, try to make sure that it's something that would at least fulfill the basic requirements of a good article. That it has a research question, it has a research gap, it has a research novelty, ada literature review-nya, ada methodnya, ada results-nya, ada discussion-nya, ada conclusion-nya. You don't want to use a paper that is so bad that they would feel that, oh, it's worthless to include this karena ini papernya abal-abal, percuma aja, ngapain ini papernya kayaknya sembarang aja di-post sama orang. So include a paper that would at least pass the basic inspection that can be that it can be used as a reference, and you just take it further to criticize it. It's up to you if they don't set a parameter for whatever article you want to criticize.
I hope that answered your question, yeah. Okay, guys, we really want to answer a lot more questions, but I guess we have not enough time. Maaf banget ya teman-teman. Nanti bisa banget nih langsung ngubungin Kak Tatum aja, Kak Tatum Derin di Instagram. @Derin Tatum ya kayak Instagramnya.
Wait, ini berarti pertanyaannya cuma 2 tadi aja ya?
Yes, so yeah, very sad, tapi nggak apa-apa. It's okay. Alright. Kalau gitu mungkin apa satu question lagi kali ya? Gimana?
Iya, satu lagi gitu.
Terakhir kali ya,
Please
Kak.
one more
Last
that's
question
quite
deh.
important, yang benar-benar urgent. Oh,
ini nih mungkin yang lebih yang holistic ini. What are the biggest causes of being rejected in scholarship and campus application?
It's about, if I can sum it in one word, it's the inconsistency. They generally always want to find people who can match their expectation. Imagine yourself if you are an employer and you want to find someone to work for you, you would have your own requirements. Orangnya harus seperti ini. Dia personality-nya harus seperti ini. You'd have that sort of requirement. And if the person who applies doesn't actually met those requirements, doesn't actually fulfill the expectations that you have, then you yourself would reject that person because you do not feel that they are a perfect fit in your company, in your startup, or as a partner for you. Jadi kayak gitu sih. Kalau misalnya enggak matching profile kita dengan campus atau departemen yang kita apply, they would reject you for the most part. Sometimes it can just be quite unlucky. Mungkin pas banget, tapi karena ada ratusan ribuan yang apply and they can only accept 34 or 400 at most, well, they are going to have to decline some offers, even though that most of the offers are quite good and even matching. So that's why you try to keep applying again and again, because it can be a case of luck.
So it's very important to know the authenticity juga ya Kak. Kalau misalnya kita bisa interconnect our authenticity, our past experience dengan campus atau pilihan program yang akan dituju teman-teman.
So I guess itu nggak cuma GPA aja ya, jadi lebih holistik ya Kak ya match-nya itu. Kayak GPA tinggi belum tentu bisa langsung masuk gitu, karena orang pinter yang daftar juga banyak banget nih yang punya GPA juga mungkin banyak banget ya Kak ya. Yang
I mean, like, I like that analogy of where you just put yourself into the shoes of the interviewer, of the scholarship provider. Like, if you're a billionaire and you want to hand out your money for any bright student, kalau yang dia offer tuh cuma GPA dia doang, ya, I mean, like, I don't care about your GPA.
I guess it's like a balance of your scores. Like, it's important ya, GPA itu important. GPA, experience, and how you make a storytelling of your experience. Jadi dry. Astagfirullah. Sorry.
Like, I would care more if I know your story.
Sorry banget. Iya. Sorry guys. Oke deh, ya ampun. Very sorry guys, I guess that's the last question.
That is the last question. Tapi tenang kok teman-teman, akan ada event-event berikutnya yang similar dengan webinar yang kita selenggarakan hari ini. Jadi stay tuned and always looking forward to our upcoming event ya.
Betul. Mungkin ada last sentence dari Kak Tatum.
Closing statement dari Kak Tatum.
Closing statement.
Be consistent with your work. I can summarize everything that I have done with that. And that's also the philosophy that was passed down from an academic mentor as well. Kalau kita kerja, mau apapun itu, or even, you can immediately apply it to just your thesis or any of your work. It will take you years to complete it. It may take you months to complete it, but just do it little by little every day. Meskipun cuma nambah satu kalimat aja, at least you make progress. Sama prinsipnya kayak pas kita kecil gitu, kita nabung tiap kali kita masukin koin ke celengan dulu. Lama-lama kan penuh itu, punya banyak duit, kayak gitu lah. Just be consistent in doing your work. And eventually, you'll reach it at some point when you strike the right time, when you strike the right time, right place, and the right people.
That's really cool. Thank you ya Kak. Very grateful that you are here.
Very much,
Grateful teman-teman. But before we end, let's take a picture.
Ayo on cam teman-teman yang bisa on cam, kita foto session dulu lah. Sesi foto bersama dulu. Ayo teman-teman yang bisa on cam, monggo untuk mengabadikan momen webinar malam hari ini waktu Indonesia. Oke, kita tunggu yang lain ya.
Oh ya, mau ngingetin aja kita bakalan ada ngobrol-ngobrol nih habis ini buat teman-teman yang solo yang kayak aduh gabut nih.
Ya, ada
Ngapain
networking session nih teman-teman.
malam Senin gitu.
Malam Senin ya. Besok teman-teman gimana nih? Ada yang kuliah atau gimana? Tapi masih bisa ikut webinar ya. Berarti emang event ini spesial banget nih buat teman-teman masih pada bisa attend.
Iya, senang banget pada bisa.
Oke.
Oh iya, buat teman-teman yang tanya, bentar sambil nunggu teman-teman buat on cam. Linknya, bentar, recordingnya bakalan di-upload in 1 to 2 weeks ya guys. Just wait for it.
Nanti kita akan share di grup.
Di grup WA, jadi jangan leave dulu.
Oke, masih ada lagi gak nih teman-teman yang bisa on cam? Ayo. Kalau bisa one Zoom frame ini semuanya on cam bagus banget.
Oke. Oh, I hope you guys don't hear my stomach karena aku lapar banget. Pas
Enggak.
banget barusan.
Enggak.
Kakak banget. Sorry guys. Aduh.
Oke, kayaknya nggak ada
Gitu.
lagi ya.
Kayaknya nggak ada lagi sih. Aduh, aku salfok sama DP-nya Irene, tapi lihat deh, itu bebek. Please. Oke. Bantu dong, Rif.
Oke, aku ya yang screenshot. Bismillah, semoga
Hmm.
clear. Oke, 3, 2, 1. Oke, once again. 1, 2, 3. Oke, nanti foto-fotonya kita akan distribute in the WhatsApp group ya, teman-teman.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you Kak Tatum, Derin juga for
Thank you Kak Tatum.
for being the
Kalau yang masih mau ngobrol-ngobrol sama kita, boleh banget.
boleh banget tetap stay di sini ya.
Yes, we'll actually divide. Mungkin aku bisa sambil screen sharing. Kalau misalkan masih mau join nih breakout room-nya, bentar ya.
Aku juga, I still have time.
Senang deh. Sampai jam berapa, Kak?
Probably next 30 minutes.
Oh, that's good.
Masih banyak ya Kak. Masih lama.
Habis ini rowing.
Iya. Jadi, masa presentasi ini harus digedein dulu kali ya. Gimana toh? Ya udahlah. Jadi jadi kita bakal nge-breakout kalian to smaller groups. Terus nanti kalian boleh banget nih tanya satu sama lain kayak what's your most insightful takeaway from the webinar? Terus mau nggak kuliah di UK? Terus majornya apa? Terus what does a typical week in your routine look like? What do you enjoy the most or least about your studies? Sama what skills do you consider essential to survive as students? Jadi terserah sebenarnya kalau gimana kalian mau ngobrol satu sama lain. We're just providing the platform. Gitu. Mungkin bisa
Dan kita
ya.
bisa exchange ini ya, sini ya, sosmed, LinkedIn.
Oh ya, boleh banget tuh
Boleh
mumpung.
banget kan di networking session ini.
Ini aku stop sharing ya. Boleh di screenshot dulu kalau ada yang mau atau di foto. Santai aja guys, kita di sini
Iya.
kayak
Gak limited to the random question ideas ini juga teman-teman. Pokoknya bebas se-eksploratif kalian mau tanya apa.
Oke, kalau gitu aku stop sharing ya. Terus you can continue with the breakout room.
Oke, kita bagi breakout room-nya sekitar 5 kali ya sini.
Boleh.
Oke, 5 breakout rooms ya teman-teman. Oke. Udah muncul Mbak? Udah muncul nggak notifikasinya?
Dadah.
Enjoy the networking session.
Iron tuh host ya? Oh, kamu udah Iron emang enggak. Oke. Aduh, aku lapar banget.
Tapi berhasil kan? Oh ya, berhasil, Ding.
Ayo, aku mau jalan-jalan breakout room.
Oke, aku mau explore juga room apa ya?
Oh ya, mungkin yang nggak ada. Mungkin kamu bisa ke 5, aku bisa ke dari atas gitu ya.
Yes, Priha in room 5 asked for help, maybe for the language assistance kali ya.
Coba silakan, bye-bye.
Bye, ya.
Kakak banget ya. Kak Tatum sama
Kamu room
apa?
5. Kamu room 5.
Enggak, aku dari atas.
Oh ya, aku ke room 5 ya, bantu. Berarti Maura di sini kali ya, bisa ya main room.
Oh, bisa. Oke.
Oke, bye guys.
Ini berarti sampai jam 9?
Yep.
Or
Oke.
Okay.
Hi, Spriha. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Where do you come from?
I'm from India.
Oh, from India. Yeah, I think the accents from India has a distinctive, and also, yeah, like, oh, we know she's from India by knowing their accent directly.
Yes, no accent. I understand.
Are you a university student? And
Yes,
in
I'm in the second year. Second year.
what study program?
I'm from I'm in honors and I'm taking psychology honors. Doing psychology honors.
Psychology? I'm sorry? Oh,
Psychology.
psychology. Halo Dea, salam kenal.
I don't understand it in Indonesia, please.
Hi,
Ya, ya,
Kak.
ya. Ya, kita mix
Nice
ya
to meet
dia,
you too.
because Spriha dari India. Or we could speak in English, in full English. It's very
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
You,
If you can translate,
actually we can
please.
do mix. So
No. I think Dea could speak in full English, right?
okay.
Yeah, Dea, where do you come from?
I'm from Bali.
Oh, university student, Udayana?
No. I'm from Varmadewa University actually.
Okay, what study program? What major?
English literature.
Oh, English literature. Yeah, I think it's really, really fitting into your study program from this tonight's webinar. And yeah,
Yeah.
we hope you all guys enjoy the session previously. And what is your motivation to apply to join this webinar, Spriha? And you're also like the one and only participant from international realm, and we're so impressed. How do you get the information, by the way?
From the Instagram.
Oh, from the Instagram. Yeah. Yeah. Please looking forward to our next upcoming event or upcoming events, because we will entertain lots of speakers from the Ivy League universities and also top university in UK. So don't make Indonesian language is a thing or a barrier for you to not joining it. And how's your impression towards the previous event?
This is my first event.
Yeah, and how's your comments? What are the things you have gotten previously?
It was wonderful because I learned many things. Because for a long time I was searching for some informations and like I really want to go to outside India.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. I'm really excited. So I was really searching, but I didn't get anyone, and this was the only chance I get. A lot of it.
Yeah, I hope I can go to India in the future. Maybe I can contact you if you're still in India. And what about you, Dea? What are the impressions and also comments towards the previous event?
For myself, it's actually very wonderful because of Kak Tatum, she's from a small university and
Yeah.
I'm too. So that's why it's like we're breaking the I think like the people opinion that student from the small university can going to the top uni ranks. So yeah, that's
I
really
I second
interesting.
it. So there's no there's actually no barrier for student, even though from the small university, top university, and for the master's degree, it's already possible. Like the gates opened for all of us to apply.
Yeah. I do think like that too, but and sometimes people around me they're little make me insecure about my dream. So yeah.
Yeah, no worries there. I think we have big possibility to enter top universities in the future. Guys, can we do on cam because we only have 1 to 2 minutes because of the time constraints to take a picture? Yo, there. Oh, there's a dog.
Wait a minute.
Can you turn on your camera, Lydia? Okay, Spriha, come on.
Because actually I'm sick right now. So yeah.
Oh, get well soon, Dea.
Yeah, thank you, Kak.
Okay, let's take a picture. 3, 2, 1. So cute. Take a picture with your dog. Can we? Take your dog. Okay. Okay. Okay, I do the countdown. 3, 2, 3. Wait for. Oh my god. It's so hard. Yeah. Okay. Okay, last capture, guys. Last capture.
And
Okay, Dea, can you turn on the camera? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the session and also looking forward to the next upcoming events related to the optimism in entering the scholarship, etc. And also the inspirations could be radiated, and also the energy could be radiated towards all of us to have the possibility in pursuing the master's degree. Okay,
are you in Cambridge?
yeah, what is that?
Are you in Cambridge University?
No, I'm in Indonesia, but previously I was in University of California, Davis, and also in Indonesia called Universitas Hasanuddin. Okay, I think I would like to go to another room, guys. Wait for a while because and also the time constraint. Bye.
Hi, Rifli.
Hai. Tadi ada yang dari India, terus dia bilang programnya bagus gitu.
Wow. Alhamdulillah.
Ada language barrier ya, cuma ya gitulah.
Yeah, I can feel her though. Rasanya language barrier.
Betul. Tapi kayaknya tadi dia baru mahasiswa tahun kedua gitu deh. Kayaknya masih
Semangat banget ya.
maba gitu kali ya, maba di India gitu.
Maba di India.
Oh, itu yang our international audience ya?
Iya, Kak Fianka. Spriha.
Yeah.
Hai Spriha.
Oh, hi Spriha. Thanks for joining all the way from India. Very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. How did you find the session? Was it helpful for you?
Yes, it was helpful for me.
Nice. Are you also applying to Cambridge? Like planning to apply?
Yes, I'm thinking to apply in Cambridge and Ivies.
Ivy's cool. Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck,
Thank
Spriha.
you.
Wishing you good luck, sumpah.
Iya. Oh iya teman-teman, aku ada events lain. So thank you very much for attending. Thank you Kak Fianka, thank you Sin. See you in the next
Okay.
event. Aku izin
Thanks
leave duluan ya
everyone.
Kak.
Okay.
Oke, I
Thanks
give the
all.
host to Ersin.
Okay.
I will end the breakout room. Mana sih?